Brown's organization descends into absolute chaos, following explosive allegations suggesting Kevin Stefanski deliberately pulled Dillon Gabriel during critical Ravens possession, inserting Shedeur Sanders without single first-team preparation repetition, specifically designed, making him fail publicly. This wasn't desperation, quarterback change, or competitive evaluation moment. Multiple sources inside facility insist this represented calculated sabotage, orchestrated protecting coaching staff's authority while destroying franchise quarterbacks' immediate credibility before entire fan base. The implications transcend typical quarterback controversy boundaries. This signifies organizational warfare erupting publicly. Coaching control versus ownership investment. Personal preservation versus competitive integrity. For anyone believing Cleveland's quarterback situation involves straightforward performance evaluation, understanding Sunday's revelations becomes absolutely essential. The setup allegedly began days before kickoff during practice week preparation. Sources described deliberate structure guaranteeing Shedeur received 0 meaningful first-team repetitions, while Gabriel monopolized starter installation completely. Shedeur wasn't incorporated into offensive game planning sessions, didn't participate in critical timing routes with starting receivers, wasn't included during situational walkthroughs, emphasizing Raven-specific defensive adjustments. One offensive assistant reportedly described scheme meetings, where Shear's name surfaced only regarding scout team responsibilities, never legitimate game preparation. Stefanski designed practice week, ensuring developmental isolation, sources claim. While Gabriel received comprehensive Baltimore-specific installation, Shedeur operated exclusively running opposing offenses during defensive preparation periods. His quarterback meeting room time focused on generic developmental concepts rather than actual game plan specifics. Starting receivers never synchronized routes with him. Offensive linemen never rehearsed protection schemes, accounting for his mobility preferences. Coaching staff structured entire week, guaranteeing he'd enter completely unprepared if suddenly deployed. But here's where conspiracy intensifies dramatically. Despite Gabriel performing adequately during second quarter drive, Stefanski allegedly made sudden decision pulling him mid-possession without apparent justification. No injury occurred. No catastrophic mistake happened. No obvious performance collapse warranted immediate benching. Gabriel simply handed off twice, completed short checkdown, then inexplicably received sideline summons during timeout. Multiple witnesses described Gabriel's visible confusion approaching coaching staff. He wasn't injured, hadn't committed turnover, wasn't noticeably struggling. Sources say he asked directly what's wrong, only hearing vague response about trying something different. No tactical explanation, no performance-based reasoning, just abrupt removal during functional possession sequence. Then Stefanski deployed his calculated move, turning towards Shedeur, announcing immediate insertion despite 0 preparation all week. Sources describe Shedeur's shock-receiving sudden deployment orders. He hadn't expected playing time whatsoever, wasn't mentally prepared for immediate game action. One offensive player reportedly heard Shedeur ask coordinator about specific play-calling adjustments, only receiving response, "Just go play football." No situational reminders, no defensive tendency updates, no simplified game plan accommodation. Just cold insertion into hostile environment against championship-caliber defense without adequate preparation support. What happened next exposed everything. Shedeur fought desperately despite impossible circumstances, making plays purely through instinctual talent, scrambling when protection collapsed, improvising when timing routes mistimed completely. Meanwhile, Stefanski's sideline body language communicated volumes. Arms crossed defensively. Minimal communication offered visible frustration whenever Shedeur extended plays, rather than accepting catastrophic sacks. Coaching staff offered 0 adjustments, simplified concepts, or supportive modifications, acknowledging preparation deficit deliberately created. The performance predictably struggled. How could anyone succeed thrown unprepared into Baltimore's defensive buzzsaw mid-game without week-long preparation? Timing routes consistently broke down, because receivers ran Gabriel-specific concepts Shedeur never practiced. Protection schemes faltered because linemen executed Gabriel-tailored adjustments Shedeur hadn't rehearsed. Play calling remained unchanged, despite inserting completely different quarterback style without accommodation. Yet immediately afterward, Stefanski's post-game comments frame situation as competitive evaluation, completely ignoring deliberate preparation sabotage. Everyone inside building recognized instantly. He claimed wanted seeing what Shedeur could do, despite structuring entire week preventing legitimate readiness. The calculated deception became transparently obvious. Teammates noticed everything immediately. Veteran offensive linemen reportedly furious discovering Shedeur never practiced protection schemes they'd installed specifically for Baltimore. Receivers confused why timing routes consistently mistimed realized he'd never rehearsed those specific concepts with them all week. Running backs, wondering why backfield communication seemed completely disjointed, learned he wasn't included in coordination meetings whatsoever. One starting offensive player described locker room atmosphere perfectly. "They pulled our prepared quarterback mid-drive for no reason. Threw our most talented guy into impossible situation without giving him any preparation, then acted surprised when it looked rough. That's not evaluation, that's sabotage. Everyone sees it." Gabriel's reaction revealed deeper organizational fractures. Sources describe him visibly upset on sideline, not about being benched, but about recognizing political manipulation. He understood immediately Stefanski didn't pull him for performance reasons. Pulled him specifically creating scapegoat scenario where Shedeur's inevitable struggle would justify continuing Gabriel as starter, despite obvious talent disparity. The conspiracy extends examining organizational dynamics closely. Front office personnel, who invested significant draft capital selecting Shedeur, now confronting coaching staff actively undermining their investment through deliberate setup. Ownership watching developmental timeline sabotage, protecting coordinators, quarterback preference. Analytics department recognizing talent disparity while coaching staff manufactures false narrative through preparation manipulation and tactical sabotage. Don't dismiss this as paranoid speculation. Too many independent sources corroborate identical story. Position coaches privately frustrated watching superior talent buried deliberately. Offensive assistants questioning why mid-game substitution occurred without strategic justification. Support staffers recognizing political maneuvering, superseding competitive evaluation completely. Here's where implications become genuinely disturbing. Multiple sources suggest Stefanski planned this exact scenario days earlier. Coaches' meetings allegedly centered discussions around controlling narrative and managing expectations, rather than maximizing competitive advantages. The phrase "letting ownership's guy fail publicly" supposedly surfaced repeatedly during strategic planning sessions. This represents coaching staff prioritizing personal authority, preservation over franchise success maximization, rather than acknowledging quarterback talent disparity honestly, rather than preparing both quarterbacks equally enabling legitimate competition. Rather than admitting evaluation transparently, they manufactured public failure situation, protecting previous decisions while damaging organizational asset deliberately. Front office executives questioning whether personal stubbornness outweighs franchise priorities. Locker room leadership fragmenting between coaching loyalty and recognizing obvious talent suppression and competitive manipulation. Cleveland's quarterback situation transcended normal competition weeks ago. Now it represents full organizational credibility crisis. Did coaching staff deliberately sabotage franchise quarterback, protecting personal authority? Did mid-game substitution intentionally guarantee struggle manufacturing false narrative? Did Stefanski sacrifice organizational asset for temporary political advantage maintaining control? Everyone inside that building knows answers already. They watched unfold real time. They witnessed deliberate preparation denial all week. They recognized calculated mid-game insertion timing lacking justification. They understood political motivations immediately. The question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders was set up anymore. The question becomes whether Cleveland's organization possesses courage, confronting coaching betrayal, publicly demanding accountability, honestly protecting franchise investment legitimately. Because Sunday's revelations didn't just expose quarterback controversy, they exposed organizational rot threatening everything. Shedeur Sanders deserved fair competition. Instead, he received calculated sabotage. And now entire franchise burns while coaches protect positions. But the fallout didn't stop inside the locker room. According to multiple sources, the front office began quietly interviewing players individually, trying to understand how deep the problem ran and whether the coaching staff intentionally manipulated the situation. What they uncovered reportedly stunned ownership. Veteran leaders described weeks of building tension, claiming Stefanski and certain coordinators repeatedly dismissed any suggestion that Shedeur deserved meaningful reps, even when practice metrics consistently showed his growth. Younger players said they felt pressured to stay silent, fearing coaches would retaliate by reducing their snaps. Several staff members allegedly admitted privately they believed a predetermined narrative was being constructed long before the Ravens game. And once those testimonies reached ownership, everything changed. Meetings that were once routine suddenly carried an undercurrent of suspicion and fear. Coaches arrived earlier and left later, knowing every decision might be scrutinized. Meanwhile, support staffers noticed analytics reports disappearing from shared folders, as if someone tried erasing evidence of internal disagreements about the quarterback battle. Even more alarming, one source claims a coordinator confronted a front office member in a closed-door shouting match after being accused of manipulating player rotations during practice. Word of that confrontation spread throughout the building within hours, sending morale plummeting even further. While chaos brewed internally, the outside world only intensified the spotlight. Former NFL players began speaking out on social media, questioning how a highly drafted quarterback could be thrown into a game without a single meaningful rep. Fans split into factions, some defending Stefanski's authority, others demanding immediate firing for what they saw as organizational malpractice. Hashtags accusing the Browns of sabotaging their own rookie reached national trending lists. And through all of it, Shedeur stayed silent. No posts, no interviews. No leaks from his camp besides calm reassurance that he just wants a fair shot. But insiders claim his silence shouldn't be mistaken for acceptance. Behind closed doors, his camp reportedly started reviewing contractual protections, potential grievance options, and even possible trade pathways if the organization failed to correct the situation. According to one league insider, Sanders' representatives are documenting everything.